Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of College Football UK. As ever, I am your host, Fletch. And joining, oh, this podcast is also brought to you by the AAW Network. Forgot that one. I should, of all people, should remember to say that bit. As ever, I am joined on the podcast with my co-host, my favorite co-host. Don't tell you this. It's Sam. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. Ready to
Um,
talk college.
Pardon?
Ready to talk about college.
Yes, yes. Back for the second week in a row as well, by the way, which is good going for us at the moment.
Mm.
We're very, very glad to have you back. Gary will hopefully be joining us soon. Um, he's still reeling in from his TikTok fame, um, and all that stuff. So
Having
we just
having
have,
having dinners with Lando Norris.
yeah, he's been out at a dinner, some out at dinner with Lando Norris, and then yeah, it's just we just leave him to it now. We just have to leave him to it. But more importantly, a face that everyone should now remember very, very fondly. We have Adam from CFBUK View back again. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me back. Good to be here.
No worries. I feel like we need to. We're jumping past the point of like asking you to. It's every 2 weeks you're fully introducing yourself. I don't know. Just do us the. Please do us the quick again. Remind people where can they find you, and a bit about CF College Football UK View as well, please.
Yeah, great. So CFB UK View on X, collegefootballukview.com is the name of the blog. Set that up at the beginning of the year, really as a knowledge hub, really for new fans to the sport, just to give them some of the basics to get going on. Really, I've kind of expanded a little bit past that now. Talk about some more. I'd call it interesting, but governance type stuff probably not that interesting to anyone else. But just talk about some other things, given it's been the off season. But looking to talk about some more players, looking about talk about some games when we get going. So yeah, just excited for the season to start.
Can't wait. And as always, as you should all know, that the links to follow Adam and CFB UK View on social media will be in the description of the episode, as will the link to Adam's website. But also in there, just while I've got you real quick, while you're also in there, you'll see some more links. You'll see a link to the AAW Discord, which you are more than welcome to join. It is completely free, and there are so many channels and so many things to get your teeth sunk into. But more importantly, it's there's so much football to talk about, and as you'll find out in a minute, there is gonna be it's about to get buzzing in those channels. Um, but there's plenty to do. Also, you can follow the AAW Network on all of the socials and check out our brand new swanky little website. And you can go in and follow us on the social media. Follow everybody who is on the pod on social media. Go and follow Sam. Go follow myself. And the CFB UK podcast as well on all of the social medias. All the links are in the description. If you are on YouTube, just look over here for 1 second. I know you've just got us in the background, but give us 2 seconds of your time. Look down there below Sam, and you will see the links. If you are on audio only, none of that is actually that's done nothing for you. Go into the app, go to the episode, and check the description for the episode. All the links will be in there too. Right, so as I've just said, those channels are about to start get buzzing because I'm going to start us off with one piece of news on one piece of news that's college football, one piece of news that's not. Tomorrow, or as of the point of recording, today, as of the point of release, there is an NFL football game on. Now, granted, it is the Pro Football Hall of Fame game. This is like where nobody plays. These are the guys that will be like you will love to watch them in the UFL in March. But there is an NFL game. And earlier today, and over the last couple of days, you will also may have noticed that college football teams are starting to head to fall practice and get ready for the season, which means one and one thing only, gentlemen. Three words that everybody loves to hear that make our lives and enrich it to the point of just pure beauty. Football is back.
Football is back. It's definitely back.
Football is back. Right? This is where we're at. We are here. It is so close. We're on the precipice. If that's my big word for the day. We're on the precipice of glory, and that glory is watching fourth string linebackers hit fourth string, fifth string, sixth string running backs tomorrow night, which we can, sorry, which I cannot wait for. But more importantly, we'll get to the actual news. Some actual college football news. Now, I don't know if either of you gentlemen would like to throw us a headline before I've got a couple of pieces. If there's anything that's particularly stood out to you over the past 7 days.
Yeah, I don't think you mentioned this last week, so I'll bring it up now. I think it happened actually after your podcast, but President Trump, with his executive order, going to save college football, according to the headline, which would be good. So essentially, just talking about some of the revenue share side of things, codifying some of the points around player status, other pieces of legislation. Obviously, executive orders are nice, they're great, but they don't actually do anything. This is all going to have to go through the houses and the committees and everything, which they are trying to do. I guess it gives a little bit of push to some of those bills that they're trying to put through. But in itself, it's just a nice little postcard with lots of big words.
Yes.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens with it, with the legislation in general. There seems to be more push to actually codify some of this stuff, which I think is needed. But we'll wait and see. And that's all I want to say on that, because I'm sad I'm not going to talk about governance. We want to talk about games and football.
Yes. No, absolutely right. But thank you for that. Thank you for that, Adam. Sam, have you got anything that's burning on your mind right now?
There's just one bit of news, and it relates to inevitably it relates to Arch Manning, because we're now in Arch Manning is the greatest player of college history time. So every single piece of news outlet is going to at some point mention him. But the Cleveland Browns co-owner, Jimmy Haslam, has come out and downplayed the Manning talks for him to be, or for the Browns to potentially look to draft him in the 2026 NFL draft. To be honest, it's a bit of a non-news, because I mean I've said it already, and I'll say it every single time anyone mentions the next year's draft. Arch Manning is unlikely to be there. I honestly can't understand why people still think that he is going to be the number one pick in the 2026 draft. He is not going to be there, because, you know, his dad, well, I suppose both of his uncles have both already decided that they did 4 years at college. I think he's going to follow suit, and he's going to do the 4 years of college. I think he's gonna, this is his first year as a starter. Yes, he's looked good when he's come on last year, but it's such a we see these exciting players, and we hear the name Manning, and we just think, well, he's going to be great, and he's going to be, as soon as he's eligible, he's going to be joining the NFL, and he's going to be earning the big money, and he's going to be the number one pick. And it's like, people just need to like calm down. At the end of the day, this is a kid who is still learning his trade, and obviously he's one of the favorites for the Heisman this year. I don't think he'll even be in the conversation towards the end of the season. I think he needs a year to understand college football properly, and to learn how to be a quarterback in properly in the college, and learn how to deal with the pressure of being a top team. So yeah, and I'm sure, obviously we've got Ollie, who's on our Hurdle Line pod, who is obviously a Browns fan. He will be probably rejoiced in hearing that the Browns are not going to draft another quarterback. I'm not sure they know what a good quarterback is anyway. Sorry, Ollie, but
Burn! But entirely fair. I completely agree. Completely agree with that
Yeah.
entire statement.
If you think, you look at Arch, and he's had the patience to sit behind Quinn Ewers for a year, why would he jump ship at the first opportunity into the NFL as well? He's clearly got that patience, that correct mindset. I agree with you, Sam. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. The only way I could potentially see him going in the 2026 draft would be if he won the Heisman, beat every single record he could at college, and they won the natty. That's the only way. He's got to basically just do everything that
Yeah.
he can possible at college at the highest level, and then maybe he'll go then. But even then, I still don't think he will, because I think he's too, like I say, he's too level-headed. He has a good group of people around him. He has obviously his family who you know, pretty much, have been sort of the arguably some of the cornerstones of modern football. I just think he'll just know not to rush things. I mean, we've seen where quarterbacks have rushed to go to the NFL and it's not worked. I think he'll be a lot more patient. And he'll want to build a bit of a legacy at the Texas now that he's being given the opportunity to.
Yeah. To be
But
fair
we're
with the
not here to
Brown,
talk about Texas. This isn't the
no,
Texas podcast.
no.
This is something else. We're meant to be talking about Big Ten, aren't we? So
To be fair, the Browns do have two first round picks next year. They probably draft Arch, draft Drew Aller at the both in the first round, and then end up starting Case Keenum or something. Like that's just what the Browns will do. That's
We got form.
yeah.
yeah.
But no, I completely agree. Couple of the pieces of news. We have. Do you know what, we'll start with a couple of really nice people. Start with a really nice. Well, there's a couple of nice pieces, but the nice, in spite of information that comes previously to it. Deion Sanders, as we all know, has been dealing with a health complication. Not really disclosed much information about it. Thought it might rule him out of coaching. He might go take a step back. He did go back to Colorado a couple of weeks ago. Him and his medical team arranged a press conference for a couple of days ago, to which I saw a couple of college football coverage sites, but like the kind of the clickbaity ones, who
Mm.
said, "Oh, Deion Sanders is going to run at the first opportunity," and then use this opportunity to go, "Look at me, I was so right." Um, but it turns out that Deion Sanders had a cancerous tumor on his bladder that has been operated on and has been removed, and he is cancer free, according to him and his medical team in the press conference the other day, which is, I've got to say, it's never good to know that someone's had an illness like that, but it's great to know that he's made a full. He's cancer free and hopefully he's on the road to a fantastic recovery. With Colorado also in mind, and we're going to stick with Colorado and Deion Sanders just for one more second. Overdal, the
There we
Charlie Offerdal has retired. Their running back, he has retired at the ripe age of, is it 20 or 21? Um, he is very young, but he's had a couple of concussions. His last one was quite scary, and he decided, him and his the medical team around him decided it's best for him to retire and go to dentistry school. But one of the really nice parts of it is they released the video of him announcing it to his teammates, who were incredibly supportive and understanding of decision. And Deion Sanders stands up and just says, just to make sure we're aware, we're continuing his full scholarship, and if the school won't, then we will. Deion Sanders will cover the cost of the rest of his scholarship. So, absolute props to the guy. For a lot of the bad things that are said about him, I can't always say he's my favorite person on the planet. Just two pieces of fantastic news from him this week.
Definitely.
Um, the only other couple of bits that
I wonder if he'll actually be allowed to fund it himself, because after what happened to Teddy Bridgewater trying to
Yeah.
do all of
yeah,
his
Yeah.
Yeah,
stuff in high school.
got to be
So
careful with
Deion
funding.
yeah, Deion Sanders can pay for someone's education, but Teddy Bridgewater can't buy orange slices for some kid. That's it.
Pay for bus
What a
tickets or
world.
whatever it was.
Yeah. What a world. It was, I think, it was taxes and stuff
Yeah,
like that,
it
weren't
was
Ubers
it?
and stuff.
it was
Rental,
basically
wasn't it?
everything in order for them to be able to actually play high school football.
Yeah. It's not like, oh yeah. So the couple of the bits that aren't quite as fun. Virginia Tech are investigating a tampering claim from North Carolina Central coach over a star running back. Yes, I've just read the headline of the article. Um, Virginia Tech is investigating a tampering claim from North Carolina coach Central Trey Oliver, who said Friday that the Hokies last season conducted a recruiting scheme against an active player on his roster. Oliver said that Virginia Tech sent an assistant coach to one of his games last year, and the coach was on the sideline to attempt to pull running back Jamari Taylor into the transfer portal and onto Hokies roster. Um, Shout out to Carter Barnes of CBS for that. By the way, I'm just going to steal his words. By the way, um, so that's happened. DJ Lagway,
This is a biggie. This could have implications.
because huge implications. DJ Lagway is in a boot as the Gators prepare for their fall camp, which started today. Gary, I've only just seen really the headline, and I've just kind of caught a little bit of information. Do you know any more on it?
It's this calf strain he's dealing with. It's not bone issue. It's kind of soft tissue. Probably just being super cautious. Probably
Yes.
won't have massive impact for the start of the season, but it's something to bear in mind. He is a very athletic QB, and obviously, if he's got a calf strain now, how long is it going to take to properly clear up? It's something to keep an eye on, but it's not something that's desperately worrisome. Still think he's probably going to be in a Heisman Trophy, you know, discussion into the season. But right now, I think they're just being super cautious. It's probably one of those. If it was game day, they'd probably give him a massage, whack a steroid in it, and away you can go type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the cupboard's there behind him, isn't it? So if he is down, that's a real problem.
That's a cotton wool, wrap him up, don't let him get hurt moment, because otherwise, yeah, they're in real trouble coming out.
As a Niners fan, you know all about players
Oh, yeah.
needing to be wrapped up in cotton wool.
Yeah, well, the cupboard being completely bare behind, yeah, absolutely.
On other pieces, on other piece of news, upon where it comes to something like infractions, Central Michigan University have had an NOA issued against them in relation to a gentleman called Connor Stallions, and
That bloke.
something that happened a couple of years ago that never actually happened, and we need to shut up and stop talking about it and just move on, really. But Central Michigan University are in trouble after Connor Stallions was spotted on their sideline in 2023 when he was a paid member of staff at Michigan University, and they sorry, just tickling my throat there. And among the sign stealing scandal, alleged sign stealing scandal, I know it all relates to how he managed to get onto, I think, pretty much how he got on the sidelines, and whether they knew about it or whether he snuck on. So that's happened. But
whether we really care anymore,
I don't.
As per the Big Ten, commissioner last week, and everybody else just saying, "All right, enough already. Stop banging on about it. It's been done. They've been hammered enough. Let's move on." The signs that they may or may not have stolen no longer relevant anymore. Let's just kind of put it to bed already.
And we all agree with that statement. Everybody agrees with that
I
statement.
know. That's like the first time ever.
Nobody disagrees. There's not a single soul, even Ohio State and Michigan State fans, completely agree with this statement. Yes, I speak for them all. And if they say no, well, they're just trying to save face because they know they've been caught. So, but there is one other piece of news, and it does pertain to the Michigan University, the last team to win a true national championship. And it also relates to Germany.
It does.
So
big news, big news, international news for the college football world.
Michigan and the Western Michigan Broncos are reportedly in talks to play a Week 0 game in Frankfurt, Germany next year. The season opener will take place in the same stadium that's hosted NFL games over the last couple of years, which I'm sure it's of no secret to anyone who saw any post of mine on social media since then. I'm rather excited about. Very much looking forward to it.
I'm annoyed about it. I understand it. I love it. And I think great, grow the college football game. But the same Week zero that Dublin has built up a reputation for years and years. The college football, the Aer Lingus College Football Classic in Dublin, week zero, massive organisation, been working for so long to get that ready. And now Michigan come along with their behemoth of, and they're all singing, all dancing, and no disrespect to Michigan, they are a massive organisation, they are a massive name. They come along and almost steal all the thunder, all the hard work, and go, "Hey, we're going to go play Germany. Everyone, ignore Dublin. Let's come to Germany." And it's a lot, and it will take a lot of the Dublin fans and of the people who will go to Dublin just to watch the college game, because unless they happen to be Bill Belichick fans or Horned Frogs fans, there's not that many of them around. If people are going to go and watch a college team, will it be TCU in North Carolina State, or will it be Michigan? They're going to think Michigan, right? So I love it, but I hate it at the same time.
Yeah, and the true implication of this, which is, I think, the most important thing that everybody does need to know and take as a takeaway for this is, I'm sorry, I won't be in Dublin next year.
I think we all kind of figured that.
And that's obviously the real true implication of everything that's taken place over the last week. I'm
Which is
sorry.
why everyone else is getting to Dublin.
I'm going to say this is why Dublin will be the quietest it's ever been on a bank holiday weekend that weekend.
So just you and Egg off to Germany then, yeah?
Just me and Egg. Do you know what? We're gonna have a great time.
Him, Egg, and 82,000 others.
My one worry is it's been building up for years, and you watch the 3 months later, I'll be back in Germany again watching the Detroit Lions, because that's been building up for years. That the Lions playing in Germany with Amon-Ra St. Brown and him being
they had a whole training camp out there, didn't they?
Yeah, but Amon-Ra himself, he's a fluent German speaker. His mum's German. He's lived in Germany. Is such a part of thing. Now, I've reached out to a German Michigan player as well for comment to come and talk to us. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But I've reached out, see if we can get him on and talk to us about it.
You don't ask.
Yeah, don't get. Or as the classic quote from Del Boy is, "EU dares, wins."
Lovely jubbly.
So, okay, right, that's it. That's the news. We're done with the news. Moving on to the real reason that we're all here and why we've specifically invited. Well, to be fair, we haven't. We specifically invited Adam for this specific episode. Although you are welcome any week, obviously. More than welcome to join us any time. Yes, Adam. We're allowed to call him Adam now. He's given us that permission, and we're very, very excited. We are here to talk about, as has been mentioned, the Big Ten, the home of the last two national champions, I do believe, as much as we don't like to talk about one of them, but the one that
you don't like to talk about one of them.
The home of the last two national champions. We're here to talk about the Big Ten, preview the Big Ten ahead of the 2025 season, and I think there is no better way to start this discussion off by talking to the a fan of the reigning Big Ten champions. You aren't Oregon yourself, unfortunately.
Oregon personified, not quite.
But 1 year into the Big Ten, you win it in your first season. Much like Texas in the SEC, you've taken to it like a duck to water.
Haha.
That was an accident as well.
I know, you didn't even realise it, did you? I could see you didn't even realise that.
You've taken it like right. I'm going to leave you for 5 minutes because I'm just going to sit here proud of myself for that complete accident. But you've taken to it really well. Obviously, you win the Big Ten in your first year. Any pressure going into it in year two?
I think going undefeated in the Big Ten, is great. Is the accident. I think we wouldn't have mind losing a game and winning it all, if I'm honest. See, the Ohio State bowl game was a bit of a come down, and I think, but in 10, 15 years time, winning that Big Ten championship, will really stand out. But at the moment, I think probably a lot of Ducks fans probably find it hard to see past the Rose Bowl. However, going into this season, we've got a coach who's now 4 years in. building some good momentum, laid down real foundations to the program. We've got great recruiting, great transfer system, decent NIL. So it's kind of more the same, but there's one real goal. Let's win. Let's just take it that final step and win the NA. Let's win the national championship. So the program will expect to be there or thereabouts. It's good enough to be there or thereabouts. But how do we take that and then take that through the playoffs as well, where it really matters? I mean, I think some of that Rose Bowl loss, I don't think that long layoff helped. I think Ohio State adapted really well to when we beat them during the regular season, nullified a lot of what Dylan Gabriel's about second time round. I think it was Jim Knowles, DC at the time over there. He did a great job. He recognised that Dylan Gabriel's not that tall, can't throw over the top. He's going to go wide, so let's pick him off. And that's what happened a lot of the time. We took too long to get going, and it didn't go well. But you think about this season, we've had a reload in some key positions. You've got a new quarterback, highly rated. He's sat and watched for a year, so he knows the system. So he should be well set. We've brought in some decent players. So I think they'll look at it and think we can have another go. I don't think undefeated is going to be in anyone's mindset. But being thereabouts and competitive in the playoff is got to be what it's about.
Yeah, I do like what Oregon have done in the transfer portal and sort of over the off season. I think, to bring in Mackie Hughes, I think because he's a player that I very much a massive fan of going into this season, and I think he could be a really important part to the way that you sort of can run your offense. I think one of the big things that I've seen sort of over the short time that I've watched college football is having good running backs really benefit the team. I mean, obviously watching Texas, we've struggled for some parts of probably last season where we didn't really have a good running game, and it really sort of impacted us. Whereas I think, bringing in someone like a Mackie Hughes could really sort of take that offense to a new level. Obviously, not having Evan Stewart is going to be big. I think he's a massive miss. Hopefully he should. I don't know if he's going to even make any games in 2025, but maybe maybe deep into the playoffs, maybe that might be a time where he comes alive. Obviously Decorian Moore, 5-star recruit this year. Again, I think he was the number 1 wide receiver recruit for this year. And then bringing, you've got is it, I can never pronounce his name, it's Lalulu. The center.
As good as I'm going to get with it as well. Yeah.
He looked really good last year, and there's all the pieces there to be able to compete. It's just how do the other teams adapt as well, and that's how it's. I think there are. Well, obviously we'll come on to this, but I do think there are a lot of strong Big Ten teams this year, and a lot of the teams that maybe weren't as good are going to be better, and I think some of the ones that were there are going to just get better. So it should be. I think it'll be a lot more interesting a season overall in the Big Ten. And that's sort of
I think the turnaround for Oregon at secondary might be a pain that they're going to have to bear, because I think through the air was where they were done last year. Some of the big losses was through the air, and you've lost a number of your secondary have kind of turned over. So that's going to be an interesting one there. As you say, they have done well on offense. They've got in, number 1 wide receiver, got an absolute beast of offensive tackle who's come in, the number 1 kind of offensive tackle. So your offensive line is going to look really good. Well, as you say, with the back Mackie Hughes there, that's probably maybe going to be a formula slightly different, where it's kind of run the ball down the throats of more of the teams. But yeah, that secondary is a big questions that you've got to answer, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Dylan Thieneman coming in, who's highly rated. But again, these players have all got a gel. And so we'll see, those early games that all comes together. And I think when I think about that 13-0 last season as well, there was a lot of tight games there where it was going wrong, and the experience of Dylan Gabriel, the experience of some of those other supporting players, they just found a way in those difficult tight moments. And when you've got players that perhaps haven't been through that, aren't as battle tested, certainly together as a unit, maybe we don't win as many of those where it looks like we snatch victory from the jaws of defeat type moments when it starts getting a bit sticky. So that's why I just think 13-0 again. I don't see. I think we'll do. We'll get to this later. I'll see a couple of losses. Certainly one stands out, and there may be another one at least, or another couple that happen just by something goes wrong late in a game, a mistake's made, and we don't really recover. But it'd be an interesting start, really, if that can start gelling. It needs to be gelled by the 27th of September. It needs to be purring, because not just a loss, but a poor performance in the Whiteout game, heads drop, and then you've got Indiana after that, and I think it can start unraveling very quickly.
It can go south. It can go south very quickly.
Yeah.
But I think, as Sam's alluded to there, and I think you've also kind of said it there, this is probably one of the stronger conferences, and there's a lot of teams at the top. Well, I suppose teams at the top end of the Big Ten that are going to beat each other up. So whoever wins the conference might not necessarily be the best team for the college football playoffs, because, as you say, a loss here or there to the other team who wins the conference might not be the worst case scenario. But yeah, I think there's picking a winner out of this conference. Usually it's one or two, whereas now it doesn't feel that way. It feels like it's more spread at the top. So that's good for the conference, and it's good obviously for Oregon coming in and being right in there, and not just. I don't think it's a flash in the pan. I don't think Oregon have come in and gone, hey, this is easy. Beginner's luck or whatever else. I think the team's set up for a number of years to be fighting for the conference and fighting at the top of that. But it's great for the Big Ten as a whole that you've now got that sort of competitive top end.
Yeah, I want to say this as well about the Big Ten though. The Big Ten it's a top heavy conference, right? Unlike when you look at the top two, if you want to say look at it and I guess pull it back to soccer style, as we like to do sometimes, it's the Premier League versus La Liga, right? La Liga is a very, very top heavy league. It's the top 5 or 6 teams. I know the Premier League kind of feels that way a lot of the time, look, at the end of the day, Vandy ever going to really test at the top of the SEC? No, they're not. But that's the game where, look, every week someone will beat someone up, because, like the Premier League, always someone's going to. You're not going to win every game. Probably not going to win every game because, Vandy can beat up Georgia on the day, or whereas like in similar to the Premier League, where look, at the end of the day, Ipswich can go and beat Manchester City or Liverpool or whoever. Whereas in La Liga, your top 4, 5, 6 teams, they're not going to lose to anyone else, really. You're not going to get Getafe beating Real Madrid on any real occasion. And the same with the Big Ten. You're not going to get Purdue beating up on anyone. I'm sorry, it's just not happening. So it's a very top heavy league. So you'll always, and the cutting out the 2 divisions within the conference as well has really, really exacerbated that. But in a way, it's also really helped because it's opened it up. Because like previously, Michigan and Ohio State were in the same conference, whereas and then Penn State are in there as well. So Penn State could just never quite. Whereas on the other side of the billing, it was a slightly weaker side of the conference, so there was someone different. But it was just top heavy. very much is very much the case with the Big Ten. So, but any of those top 6, top 7 teams are, however realistically in comparison to the other, in with some form of a shot. So you're looking at Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana. And I was gonna say Iowa, but then I kind of nearly laughed a little bit.
Yeah, come on now, be silly.
And then I'm gonna be very honest here and say don't sleep too hard on USC. Not saying the Big Ten
They've gone
winner
under
were
the
there.
radar. Lincoln Riley's team is going under the radar a lot, and that's dangerous.
Under a load of pressure though as well.
Yeah, he
Yes.
is under a big load of pressure over there. You know, he's got a lot of money in that team, and he's got to deliver.
Yeah. But this is what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, to be Oregon and to walk in and to have walked the conference let's say walked the conference last year was massive.
They ran the conference, didn't they? So
they did. Although that would not necessarily have been the case if Will Howard knew how to slide and when. But I said I'm not going to complain with that. I'm very much pro Will Howard for getting to slide at the right time. But that was if that was the case, you never know. But to come in and win it in your first year is great, but it's just not gonna be allowed to be that easy the next time round. So like when you look, you take it, but then I want to kind of throw over to we have to talk about them, unfortunately, but Ohio State, who was still a lot of people's favorites to at least make the Big Ten championship. They are in a somewhat similar position to Michigan a couple of years ago when they've lost like is it 15 players to the draft this year?
Oh, something insane. They usually do. But the thing is, Ohio State often, it's often like a turnaround of big numbers for those big teams. And Ohio State was one of those ones where they often go 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 players go to the draft on regular basis.
But the difference I think for Ohio State is and they always have an incredible a really high ranking recruiting class. It's just that's just what they do. So but you've had that, but the difference is they've kept the head coach, they've kept their OC, they've not got the same old DC, which I do want to talk about in a minute and just continue to piss myself laughing like I've been for about 6 months about their DC, but that it's still a lot of turnover from a national championship winning team. That's a lot of experience out the door because a lot of them were seniors who came back for that one final run.
Yeah.
So I'm not counting Ohio State out or doing anything. I'm trying not to be a homer here and really just simply bag on him for the sake of bagging on him. But it's a lot of turnover and that's a lot of experience at the top end of that team of the team.
Yeah. I think that week 1 game as well with Texas is unfortunate from their perspective.
Yeah.
That's not a great start. I'm not sure I see them winning that. But any team that's got Jeremiah Smith in it has always got a chance to pull.
It's got a big play in it at any point in time with him on the field, isn't it? So you can never write them out. But it's a tough place to start.
Yeah.
I saw that little smile. I saw it.
We're playing him at the right time. We can get that revenge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a tough start for Ohio, but it's no cakewalk for Texas either. So it's a proper start of the season game for both those teams, and both of those teams will have a lot coming out of that game, where they've learned a lot or where they actually stand versus everybody blowing smoke up each other's backsides, being you're the best team in college football and you're the this, that, and the other. That game is going to be one of those where a lot of those questions are answered.
Yeah,
more so than maybe some of the others.
It'll be interesting because I think obviously a lot of people talking about the fact that Ohio had so many players come out of the draft, but so did the Longhorns. I think we have over the past 2 seasons we've lost the most out of the last 2 seasons. We didn't get it obviously with a single, but that's the huge turnover we've had. I mean, we're in the same position.
We're not talking SEC, Sam. We're not talking SEC.
It's relating to this game, so we're talking about
it. any chance of shoehorn along.
Can you tell Sam only watches Texas?
Apparently I only watch Texas, so we'll see. But I mean, obviously they've obviously got both teams starting with a brand new quarterback. I think both
Yeah.
teams, bar one wide receiver, are it's going to be sort of new wide receiver core-ish. But a lot of the differences is in that defense on both sides. I think, Ohio are not going to be. I don't think they're going to be as strong on defense. They're still going to be strong because, I mean, you've still got
It's
the
just a
likes of
higher,
Caleb
right?
Downs there. I mean,
No,
he's
that
he could potentially be the number one pick next year, and there is
yeah.
that potential. But yeah, it'll be a fun game to watch for everyone but
Definitely.
Ohio
Right.
and Texas fans, I think.
I mean,
This
it's the must-watch game that week, isn't it? I mean, everything else
yeah.
pales in comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
This
actually be able to watch it at a normal time as well because they're not going to move it to some stupid Sunday afternoon to please Ohio.
Thank you,
It's a big
Texas.
noon
Thank you.
game, is it?
Yeah.
But okay, I'm gonna throw this one. But this is too much of an opportunity. Like there's too much going. It's too much of a perfect storm for me to not slam the living crap out of the defense this year, right? Yes, they've got Caleb Downs, who is incredible. So no one can say I didn't start this out with a nice thing, right? They've lost a lot of, especially on that defense, experienced pieces. Take Jack Sawyer, for example. Massive crybaby, but very, very experienced and good for the defense. But there's a lot of experience gone, and their defensive coordinator is Matt Goddamn Patricia, sorry, I can't even say his name properly because it's such a vile name to say. I can't be anything other than a homer on this one. The defense, I hope it's going to suck ass all year terribly. One, because it's Ohio State, but two, because that horrible, disgusting human being is running their defense as well. The one worry I do have when it comes down to Ohio State, because I want to go through the schedule for a second as well, right? Obviously, they start the season at Texas, big noon kickoff. Both College Game Day and Fox are going to be there for the big noon kickoff and for the preamble. Lee Corso is going to be there, making his final
Show, isn't it?
show, final headgear pick.
Yeah.
He's picking the
Texas.
Buckeyes, right?
Oh, he's got to be. It can't be. He's got to be. It's. If he shocks the world and goes for Texas, though, I think we all know that Texas can't out winning that game then because
Absolutely meltdown.
it's just too much of something's gone on. But it's has so much in the implications for the final rankings for the season. And now they're going via seeding rather than auto top auto buys and stuff. This has such massive implications for the playoffs. In week one, so much does ride on this game that Texas have a massive point to prove. Ohio State have to come out and say, listen, look, we're not done it. But the crowd in Columbus are going to be right up for it. It's the first game back as national champions. They're going to be right up for it. That's going to be a great game, and it's one you can see going either way. But then they've got Grambling State at home. So that's a loss.
You mean the Green Bay green, the Green Bay yellow?
Yeah. So that's a loss for them. Ohio at home, that's a loss. But even like they've got some. Let's face it, it's out of most of the teams at the top of the Big Ten. This is one of the more difficult schedules. They've got to play Illinois on the road, who are going to be a very, very good team this year. They've got to go to Wisconsin, which Wisconsin are not that middle of the pack team. They can hurt you. They might not.
They're
They
the West
can.
Ham. They're the
We'll
West
see how
Ham of the Big
yeah.
Ten. They can cause an
Cause
upset
your
every now and
problem on
again.
any given day.
Yeah. But then, okay, I get yes, it's at home, but Penn State. That's potential.
That's the game that's circled for every Big Ten team, right? Any Big Ten team with any
Penn State
aspirations of anything, Penn State. That game is circled.
But that is again, like I say, their potential potential Big Ten winners, hot favorites to be Big Ten winners. That has major implications again for both the playoffs, because again, the seeding idea, but also for your ranking within the Big Ten. At Purdue, okay, well, let's say about that. The better UCLA and Rutgers, and then you're at Michigan, which that's
They
the game.
can't win.
That's the game. They can, but this is where I wanted to come back to. The only hope that they've got is now they've got Matt Patricia, and he knows how to make teams from Michigan lose, because he did it to the Lions more than enough. That's their only real hope, is that Matt Patricia's juju kind of enters the stadium and enters Michigan and just things collapse. But that's not a cakewalk of a schedule
Not
for
at
them.
all. Given, like you say, how important the ranking, the seeding is going to be going into those playoffs. Will they scrape the playoffs? Yes, but you can get a very unfavorable draw with that schedule.
Yes. And that run of at Illinois, at Wisconsin, then Penn State, they do have a bye week in between. To be fair, they have a bye week in between Wisconsin and Penn State, but it's not an easy 3-game stretch. And you can very, very easily, if you slip up once, you can easily end up coming out of that 1-2.
Yeah.
With a loss to Illinois and Penn State.
Yeah.
Ohio
you get
State are never
beaten
going to
up
lose
and
all
you
three.
lose your way. And it's what Adam said about the Oregon schedule as well. It's a similar sort of thing. There's a few banana skin sort of sections where you lose the first game, oh, you're in trouble. Suddenly you're looking a bit wobbly, and the next game is a bit of a struggle. Injuries mount up. It could be one of those horrible sections.
Yeah. But it's the state that. Luckily for them, though, they don't have to. I think in comparison to last season, they don't have to go and travel out to there. Well, no, there are no West Coast trips.
Mm.
No.
UCLA's at home,
Oh,
isn't it?
Yeah.
They got to Washington, haven't they?
Yeah,
Oh, wait, yeah.
At Washington State.
Is
Is that Washington or Washington State?
Washington.
Is that Washington? That's Washington, right?
It's a conference game in conference.
Yeah,
It's first in conference game, which I don't know about Washington. I feel like they can be good. I think they probably won't be too good. They'll again be. Oh, look at you over there not being the worst. Look at you making a bowl game in the Big Ten. Well done. That's kind of probably where Washington are going to be this year. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry to say it. I just do. That's kind of how they're going to be. But you've got one trip out to the West Coast. Well, hopefully, personally, that sees somewhat of a slip up. They haven't announced the time for it yet, but if that's a late-ish game as well, messing around with your body clock, that's what, 2 hours, 3 hours time zone difference.
Yeah, if that game gets played sort of late on the Saturday, and then their home game against Minnesota is early on the Saturday, that'll make a big difference.
Yeah.
Or even if one of them gets moved to Minnesota gets moved to like the Thursday, Friday.
Yes. Also, they won't be doing Thursday games around that time, because that's reserved for like the games that no one cares about because the NFL's on. But it's fine because like
but no one cares about Ohio State versus Minnesota, really, do they?
Oh well, obviously, to be fair, I quite like Minnesota. That's I'm quite interested in Minnesota, but it's Friday night. That could very well be the Friday night Big Ten game, because Big Ten have got the Friday night thing now, haven't they? They've been doing the last couple of years.
Yeah, jumping on the Mac bandwagon.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Friday Night Lights, that's high school football night. Not many people are quite a big fan of that.
Supposed to be sacrilegious. It's supposed to just be just for high school, right?
Yeah. Are there any teams in particular that excite you going into this season that I mean, you've got Illinois, who had a really good year last year.
Yeah.
Great to see if they can continue it. I don't see any reason why they can't. Obviously you've got Indiana, Kirk Signetti, who's been building beautiful, beautiful things, it seems, in Indiana. They're going to be really exciting to watch this year. Are there any other teams that at the moment you've kind of got going where like, oh, very interested to see how they could. You can't get a read. You can't get a read on.
Not teams and stuff, but I'd be interested to see what Raiola's going to be like at Nebraska on his second
Yeah.
year.
Yeah,
That's an interesting one. I don't think the team around them is going to be enough to be kind of in contention as such. But it'd be interesting to see how he steps into his second year. I just don't think he's got enough weaponry around him to make that big leap. But I would be interested to see
Who's Raiola?
how he gets on. Huh? Yeah, Dylan Raiola,
Dylan
Who's
Raiola.
that? Who's that?
Nebraska.
Oh, you talking about Baby Mahomes?
Baby
Baby
Mahomes, if you
Baby
like.
Mahomes. That's the one.
Sorry. To give him his full title. Dylan
I
Baby
don't know.
Mahomes Raiola.
Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl this year. He might come out looking exactly like Jalen Hurts instead.
He can't reduce his height though.
Well, like go out on his knees.
Crouch a bit. He can crouch.
But no, it's yeah. I want to talk about. I think we can get on to Nebraska in a minute because obviously look, inevitably you're not allowed to talk about the Big Ten without talking about Michigan. That's not my rule either. That's just the rule.
Yeah, that's just life.
It's just life. But I don't think actually, to be fair, I want to throw it back and just say, do you know we've not spoke about properly yet? Penn State.
We've kind of skirted around the Nittany Lions, quite frankly. We've mentioned them in passing because, as I say, that's the game that if you're playing them, that's the one you've circled for your test the game. This is how good. This is the big one.
Yeah.
And I think I've got them ranked right up there almost with Texas in terms of teams this year. The people that they are bringing back is just insane. They've done that. They've done that Ohio of last year. They've gone all in. They've come back to win the Natty, and that's it. They've brought back how many players? They brought back their three, star backfield players. It's a terrifying prospect for anybody in the Big Ten. They look obviously the team to be on paper and preseason, and all the talk is about the Nittany Lions going all the way this year.
Yeah, Drew Allen's come back to finish the job.
Yeah, and his two running backs as well. I mean, that's massive.
Yeah. They look for me. They do have that Ohio State last year feel to it, ready to go. Yeah. This is the year, everything's set up to finish the job.
And I think they're angry. From the Notre Dame loss. I think they know that they didn't show up. They know that they didn't perform as they should, which should be a worrying sign for teams because they could steamroll a lot of teams this year, especially with their start. Because I think they've got a favourable first sort of 2 or 3 game start to get really up to speed before the Ducks.
Well, that's the thing that you say they're well underway by the time they play us. And I think that's 24 days. There must be a buy-in, a bye week between the two. Do they come off a bye week? 13 to the 20.
So they're 2 weeks. They've got a bye week between.
And the other thing I was going to say, I think I counted it earlier on offense. There's 9 seniors, and I think 6 on defense. So not all of them are returners, but in terms of experience in the ranks, when you get to those tough moments, there's a lot of experience in that team.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how those 3 traded wide receivers come in and do, because essentially it's going by sort of, I suppose, the depth charts. They're the 3 starters in Trebor Penner, Devontae Ross, and Kyron Hudson. And between them, I mean, Kyron Hudson got 38 receptions, 462 yards, 3 touchdowns. Devontae Ross, 1,000 yards, 11 touchdowns. And then Penner was nearly 1,000, so 941 yards and 9 touchdowns.
84, wasn't it?
So, I mean, you're looking at, they're experienced players. Yes, it'll be interesting to see how they'll, how they'll gel with Alara and that. But it's, you're looking at sort of, they're solid numbers for wide receivers, even if they aren't sort of the ones that Alar's used to. They're still going to make an impact. And that's the thing that I think you kind of realize with college football is they don't have to gel perfectly
They
They
don't have
just
to
have to
be
be in the right
putting up
place at the right time.
yeah,
And
none of those have to be like, as you say, 1,015 yard, lighting up the stage. As long as they all pitch in with 800-900 yards,
mm,
that will offset the loss of Tyler Warren, which is obviously going to be a pretty big loss for them because he was such an integral part of that. But if those three come in and do a functional enough job,
yeah,
then
I mean,
they've got enough.
yeah, I mean the guy that's I suppose who's coming in to replace Tyler Warren, Khalil Dinkins has got a big job to do if he wants to sort
Don't
of.
envy those
Yeah.
shoes. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Is it
mean
King?
he's also a senior, so I mean he's been around the team for, you know,
Mm.
3 years. So it'll be in his third year, I think he's coming into.
Can you remind us of that name again, please?
Khalil Dinkins. I
I
really
just like
just hope he gets.
that's a cool
I
name.
hope he gets some Dinkins.
Dinkins Donuts. He's got to have a donut NIL, surely.
I
So
just like the name. I just wanted you to repeat the name. That's all.
yeah, so
But
he,
that donut chain is missing a trick there if they haven't reached out to him.
Dinkin Donuts.
so yeah, we'll see how he sort of performs. I mean, he's got sort of. He's not really been involved, I think, obviously because Tyler Warren was such a big part.
Yeah.
He only had 4 receptions last year for 122 yards, averaging 8.7 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's not got massive stats. But I think in terms of, I suppose, his profile and who he is, he's I mean, they've got as high as 6,040. That's not right. Um, I'm assuming that's meant to be 6'4", 250
Who
watt.
knows with how they measure these things?
Yeah, he looks another big guy who's going to be sort of there and thereabouts. So it'd be interesting to see how he sort of fits into that. But I really like Penn State for this year. I think they're going to be, for me, they're going to be similar to what Oregon were last year. They're going to be the team to beat for
Yeah.
me.
We'll talk about the roster as well for Penn State though. One of the important things with Drew Aller is obviously the fact that he can run the ball as well. He's good. He's good with his legs. But as you said, the running game with Nick Singleton and Katrin Allen and whatnot. What's the most important thing that they're gonna need in any given game? Like we always talk about how this is important in football. What do you need on offense for your QB and your running backs?
An offensive line.
An offensive line. 4 of the 5 offensive line starters are seniors as well. That's a hell of a lot of experience protecting a hell of a lot of experience, and that counts for so much in college football these days. It always has, but that counts for so much in college football. So, well, we're talking rightly so about potential #1 pick overall, potential Heisman trophy winner, and all that sort of stuff. Juwella, while we're obviously rightly talking about because Nick Singleton, who are absolutely fantastic. What I also think needs to be mentioned as well is just how much experience is on that O line, and a lot of the guys underneath in those second rotational pieces are juniors, so they also have quite a bit of experience in there as well.
Yeah.
It's a massive thing for them to have such experience in such a position.
Fletcher will be happy to know that also Khalil Dinkins' brother is also plays for Penn State. He's the backup nickelback. Colin
Brilliant.
Dinkins.
Khalil and Colin Dinkins. Dinkin brothers.
Both with a K as well.
Dinkin and Dunkins. Oh, it writes itself, doesn't it?
So. There he is. There's Colin Dinkins, safety junior. I need to do right. No, I'm gonna
simple minds.
I'm gonna be like, oh, they need another. I need them to have another brother, and I need to have like a name that just works with Dinkins. But no, like Dion Dinkins. Oh, that'd be a brilliant name.
Keon Dinkins. It'll be Keon, though, won't it?
With a K, yeah.
With a K.
Keon.
Khalil, Colin, Keon. It's got to be. Right? We digress. So Penn State are going to win.
Yeah, Penn State are very, very good.
Penn State to win it all.
You're all the way to the Natty, or just at least
Um,
the Big Ten?
certainly the Big Ten. I mean, it gets a bit challenging to predict what's going to happen. I think playoff wise in a moment, but
Yeah.
I can see them with 10, 11 wins in the
Easy.
conference.
Well, okay, let me ask you then, where if they come with 11 wins or 10 wins, where is that where are those one or two losses coming from?
Um,
That's 2019.
I think for me, the biggest one, I think it's going to be I think one of the big games, and this is where it's where the swings will come, is that Oregon game would be one of them.
yeah,
And
Well, to be fair, I'm
I
looking at
think
it, it's
Ohio
obvious.
could be an interesting one, but I
Yeah.
think that game afterwards at Indiana could be one of those ones that just, you've just come off the high
You've
of
just
beating
got through
Ohio,
Ohio State,
and you
and
just,
Yeah.
I know
In
it's I know
Columbus.
don't turn up.
they don't have a bye week in between. They're
So,
at Ohio, so it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be tiring, and it's just the sort of team you don't want to come up against
yeah,
off the back of a win against
yeah,
Ohio.
that's when they wanted Rutgers or Michigan State, isn't it? Really,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
wanted that, because that Indiana team is it's an awkward one to follow up with. Yeah,
I For me as well, that Oregon game specifically, that's a very, very pivotal moment for I think probably well, Oregon as well, but
Yeah.
you look at Penn State here and you've got Nevada, FIU, and Villanova, right? That's with
So
knock the
all
rust
due
off.
respect,
Three
all
and
due
zero.
respect
Knock the
to
rust off. Get ready. Get everything
yeah,
firing.
with all due respect to all three of those teams, that's a bit cupcake to start
Yeah,
the
yourself off with, which
the
is fine.
the only thing that I would counter that with is the fact that that's three very what by their standards very easy games,
Yeah,
plus then a bye week
rough.
going
They
into
could
that
be
Oregon game.
undercooked.
That's where
yeah.
you could potentially have, you know, a little bit of lack of concentration, so to speak,
Yeah.
on that game. So that's where
I,
it could, on the, you're talking devil's advocate and looking at the flip side.
I said I like the devil's advocate. I like it when people do that. So, but those are three home games, and then your bye week is to go into a home game. Yes, again, that's Oregon. That's not just any home game. That's arguably the most difficult game, if not the second most difficult game on your entire schedule, and one of the top. That's got to be a top five, top 10 most difficult game in the country. Maybe not okay, maybe not home, but like definitely just Oregon itself is one of the top 10 most difficult opponents in the country at the I don't think many people can argue with that. Um, but to have that bye week, you've got Oregon at home for a whiteout on a night game. Oregon have got to travel that far as well, by the way,
Yeah.
as you mentioned earlier. Look, being in the Big Ten is many things, but it's also a pain in the backside for Oregon because of how far you've got to consistently travel to go play conference games. That can't be easy for that. That's not an easy game. But everything seems to be stacked kind of in your favor. To if that is going to go down to a decision, it's going to down to a snap. It's going to go down to a mistake or a piece of brilliance. It looks everything's kind of pointed towards you being the team to get that and just being the most ready for it. At UCLA, I mean, yeah, you got go play Yamalava, but I think that should be a pretty easy dub, even though
Yeah.
you're
Again,
traveling over to
travel
the West
pain in the
Coast.
ass, but
Yeah,
Travel back across the country. Yeah,
yeah, and Nico, yeah, you go and play Nico Yamalava.
who knows what that's going to be like.
Um, at Iowa, I'm sorry, you got Northwestern at
Northwest
home. That's just a cakewalk game. At Iowa, then you're at Ohio. Then you've got a
bye
bye
week,
week before you play at Ohio State. Now that is
which I
again
think
important.
that's a very good bye week, I think,
Yeah,
because you're at Iowa and then you've got to go to Ohio. I just think it's having that nice little break in between allows, if there's any injuries that have happened earlier on, this is where you get the recovery from that period. So that be what that for me is probably that's a much more effective bye week than the one going into Oregon.
yeah.
Yeah, but what I think as well going into that Ohio State game, you could then be what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 0. Potentially could be 7 and 0, if not 6-1 with a toss-up game against Oregon.
oh,
going into a bye week and then face it going at Ohio State. You're not going to go, you could go into Ohio State in a very, very good position. And if I go back here to the Ohio State schedule, they could be what? 0-1, 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1. They could be 6-1 with potentially a toss up game against Texas, granted on a 6-game win streak rather than a 3-game. But again, Illinois, they could very easily lose to Illinois. They could be going into that game 5-2, and that's I'd rather be Penn State at 6-1 or 7-0 than Ohio State at 5-2 in that game.
Yeah.
Both of them coming off a bye week.
Yeah.
Like you say, that the run-in for Ohio is those two games on the road at Illinois and Wisconsin are a lot more difficult than, you know, the two games, one of which is at home for Penn State and the other being in Iowa. So, you know, it's a lot more.
Ohio State know they've got to go to Michigan at the end of this as well. So you think pressure building, you start falling behind, you're 5-1, 5-2, and you still know you've got to go there as well. And that's not been easy. That's going to play on the mind.
All it takes is an injury to Jeremiah Smith, and that's when things start going. You know,
it goes sideways very quickly.
I mean, they're lucky in the sense that they've then got Carnell Tate to have as backup, but
not a bad plan B.
You know, it's and we don't really know how the likes of Peoples and that are going to perform. So it's, you know, it's I think that there's a lot more uncertainty in Ohio than there is in Penn State, and again, that sort of plays into the hands of Penn State as well. So I just think that there's I think on the face of it, I would, you know, I think by the sounds of what we've all done, we've all sort of thought, you know, going into the season, and Penn State have got to be the favourites to take the division. But again, it's not. There's no easy road to that, and I think that's what's the important thing, because of the fact that, you know, they've got to play Oregon and Ohio, and Oregon have also got to do the same, and you know, there's just little. You know, Ohio have to play one of them, and they also have to play the team that are favourites to win the SEC. So there's plenty of little things that sort of are going to play into this. So
I kind of break. Go on, sorry, Fletch.
Also, you carry on. I've got to bring back to Ohio State a little bit then. Sorry.
Okay, I was just going to say, when I think about the conference in its entirety, I kind of see a bottom 7, which is probably going to go under 50%. The Purdue's, Northwesterns, Maryland's, etc., probably all the way up to maybe a Wisconsin. I see a top 3. Then I see a middle bracket where they're going to be, I reckon, 6, 7, 8 wins. And then I see Michigan, and I'm not sure where to put them. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about this in a minute. I'm not sure if they belong in that top 3 or if they're going to be in that middle of the pack.
I think that I feel they'll be that second tier group. Bowl game eligible, but probably not quite there.
It's they're a season away from being, I think, up at the top. I think, you know, there's no guarantee, or that Bryce, obviously the big story with Michigan, and obviously Fletch, we can allow you to stand on your soapbox and do your bid for Michigan. But I think from an outsider's perspective, obviously the big news was Bryce Underwood, getting him over the line. Now, Michigan kind of have a choice. Do they start him straight off the bat, or do they sit him behind someone who's a bit more experienced? Although I know it's not been the greatest time there, but do they sit him behind, you know, someone like a Davis Warren for a year and let him learn? It's such a difficult decision to make, because we kind of saw what, you know, Michigan's offense looked like last year, and it was truly awful.
Did we see
well, I don't know if we actually saw it, because it was that bad.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
but
it's a tricky one, isn't it? It's that age-old NFL question of you've just drafted a rookie. Do you blood the rookie and go, this year's going to hurt?
yeah,
But the benefit of this year hurting is that next year he's got the bruises, he's got the experience, he's learned the ins and outs and whatever else. Or do you
Yeah.
sit him and kind of let him do the Green Bay, sit on the bench, watch, learn, and then come through? It's a tricky one. I think uh, I think for Michigan they've got to roll with Underwood. He's their number one draft. He's such a
it
good
just
player for them.
it depends on how aggressive they're going to be. I mean, they've
Yeah,
got obviously they've brought in Justice Haynes, which I think again is a great acquisition.
Yeah.
And he could play a massive part, and that might be a good way to help Underwood because he has someone who is considered, one of the better running backs in college now. Um, they've brought in Donovan, is it Donovan McCulley as wide receiver? Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't really know too much about him, but obviously they've got again it's a very young team. And you've got probably the 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 probably where you need your seniors um is in that offensive line, which is good. Do you just, like I say, do you go aggressive and just say, Bryce, go for it, and we'll see how it works this season? No pressure, just get your feet under the table, get used to playing college football, or do they take a bit of a reserve and think we'll play
but
someone
also,
else and let him learn?
also, are they just gonna, the nicest possible way, just shove it up the jumper and stuff it out the middle? Are they just gonna go old school Michigan running football and just give it to the running back, put it behind the offensive line, and just run the ball and be explosive and just pound the teams? And therefore, you can put Underwood in because all he's going to really do is just hand the ball off.
Mm.
In my opinion, you start Bryce Underwood week 1. Everything I've seen of him so far, like he's not going to be perfect. He is a freshman, end of. Like we see in the NFL, no matter how good you are as a rookie, you're still a rookie. You still make stupid mistakes. You're still learning certain things. Jaden Daniels was fantastic last year, but still made mistakes, and there were certain things that you just kind of went, yeah, that's still a rookie. Your timing while going up against a veteran cornerback, that wasn't perfect. That wasn't. Same with CJ Stroud the year before. Same every year we have quarterbacks who come out, start in the NFL, who are rookies, who look great, but look, at the end of the day, they make the. And that's no different for most people, to anyone who doesn't really. That's no different from college football. It's why true freshmen tend not to start in any real position, let alone the quarterback position. Dylan Raiola last year was as an example of like that's an anomaly. People were not concerned by it. Sorry, they were um taken aback by it a little bit that he started. But I would say at the end of the day, the QB room is Jake Garcia, not great. Uh, Chase Herbstreit, which for all hilarity that it is, given his dad's an Ohio State legend and all that sort of stuff, but no, thank you. Jaden Davis, not great. Mikey Keene,
Freshman, isn't it?
no.
Isn't he a freshman as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jaden, I think he played last year, but I think he redshirted. I think
Right.
he played like 2 snaps all year. Um, so I think I'm pretty sure he was allowed to redshirt, so he classes as a soft. He's like a redshirt freshman slash sophomore.
Right. Okay.
Um, but then Davis Warren, who, with all due respect, is a Make a Wish Foundation quarterback. He seems lovely, and I do mean in certain ways it is kind of true because obviously he's dealt with a lot. He dealt with his health complications throughout his life, and very, very glad that he's alive and kicking, but I'm not happy if he's behind centre because he's terrible. He's terrible. It's like watching. Last year, it's a bit like watching Derek Carr in the NFL. You know when Derek Carr, all like watching listening Will Levis last year half the time. But imagine that, but in college football. Second pressure gets to it, you panic, you launch the ball, and normally you launch it into just places where DBs are and wide receivers aren't. And it was all year, and it wasn't great. And you look at how we had to beat Ohio State and how the game plan that it took. Bryce Underwood genuinely gives you the best opportunity to win games either way. The schedule which I will mention in a second, is I'm not calling it cupcake, but I'm saying it's doable.
Favourable.
It's not an
Favourable is a
overly
nice way of putting
a
that.
difficult. It's not an overly difficult schedule to go by. Apart from there's some banana skin games, yeah. But yeah, for me, Bryce Underwood, freshman or not, gives us the best opportunity. He's the best thing we've got. He's got the best arm. He's got the best legs. He's got the best everything. Put him behind a half decent O line. Give him a Justice Haynes. I think that's the best. I truly do think that's the best option. He's a 5-star, #1 in the country for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but to go on to the schedule, starting off against New Mexico, there's a win.
Yeah, your schedule's weird. You don't actually have a home game back to back, do you?
No.
You go home away, home away, home away, home away, home away, home away.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's haha. It's a proper ha 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 ha
Yeah.
ha. But you got New Mexico. There's a win at Oklahoma. This is straight away. You've got a banana skin here because we don't know who Michigan are, and again, it doesn't matter. These are the kind of teams where, like, if you've got a genuine freshman quarterback in his second game starting, this is the things where certain problems can come about when you've got Oklahoma on the road. Now, I'm sure Sam will be donning maize and blue all day for that game, but
It won't be the only one.
I'm one of the I am not entirely afraid of it, but I would be willing to turn around and say, Sam, hold your horses on that one. Because
Yeah, I mean, I would, as much as it pains me to say it, I do think Ohio at the moment, sorry, Oklahoma at the moment are that little bit of a better team than Michigan, just because of some of the key parts of their team. But
yeah,
we're not talking Zach, are we? So
not yet. But I mean, again, these are a lot of these predictions are what as we keep alluding to. At the end of the day, we don't know who a team's going to be until week 2, week 1, week 2, week 3. We don't know who's going to turn up. Arizona State, again, the perfect example. Everyone thought they finished dead last in the Big 12 last year. They won the Big 12 and made it to within a drive of beating Texas in the college football playoffs. Like um, but Oklahoma's a weird one. Then you've got the back-to-back Sharon Moore suspension games. You've got Central Michigan at home. There is a win. And then you're at Nebraska, which
that'll be an interesting game, I
yeah,
think.
Going to be an interesting one.
Baby Mahomes, you're against baby, yeah, you're against Baby Mahomes, but also like what Matt Rule is doing there in the offseason that they've had, I really, really, really like it. They're
Yeah.
not one of those teams where I'm sat there like, oh, what you watch them this year, they're gonna go. But that is a very good team, and I was listening to Matt Rule talk, in some of the media day stuff, and just what he's saying about how even throughout the season, the little things that Dylan Raiola had to learn because welcome to college football, not high school football. He's picking up on them. He's has a really good off season of workouts and doing different things and picking up certain things and learning to go through his check downs and his progressions and do that kind of thing. So they're one of the teams I'm really excited to see who turns up. Um, Wisconsin at home, at USC. Like I've said already, Wisconsin are going to be an interesting team. At USC is a difficult one. Michigan famously don't necessarily travel well to the West Coast to play teams on the West Coast, apart from things like where we beat Alabama in the Rose Bowl and then won a national championship. Then, but other than those kind of
Not that
being in
you're
the Rose
hanging on
Bowl
to
in bowl
past
games,
glories at all, but you know.
but as a whole, Michigan don't tend to travel well to the West Coast. Washington and USC again, a sneaky, not even sneaky. I think they're just underrated as a very, very good team going into this season and one to really, really watch. Washington, I said that before. Well done. You might make a bowl game. That's really nice for you. At Michigan State, it's a derby, and Michigan State are going to be better this year. Purdue, that's a laugh. At Northwestern, there's a win. At Maryland, there's a win. Um, and then the game at
And then an
home.
easy dub at the end.
And then
Very easy.
if we beat them last year, then like God help them this year.
But again, you've got sort of that run of Nebraska, Wisconsin, USC, Washington, and then to then have to go and play MSU, although likely as you'll probably beat them. that is still that's again where that's like your season defining part of your
Yeah,
season, because if you come out of that with say 4 or 5 wins, then we're talking about a Michigan team that are going to be up closer to the other three. But if you come out of that with 2 losses or 3 losses, that's when we started talking about you more being in that second tier bracket. So
yeah,
that's sort of where I suppose that's like your season defining period, is that from that Nebraska game
yeah,
until Michigan, Michigan State. I think that's
yeah. Well, I completely agree, and I think that road schedule of Oklahoma, Nebraska, USC, Michigan State, it's not pretty. I don't like that. Sorry, I don't like that road schedule. Then you get a couple of cupcake games against Northwestern and Maryland. Um, no disrespect there meant to Maryland, but not Northwestern. All disrespect is meant. You're a cupcake game. No one cares. But it's that's a difficult road schedule, and there are games there where I'm like, you should win them. At the end of the day, you should just win them. That would be generally expected of you. But they are still a lot tougher and they'll be a lot closer than you would expect. So it's like I say, New Mexico win, Oklahoma. That's a coin flip game at the moment. Central Michigan win, Nebraska. I think that's a win. I'm taking that's potentially your 3-1, but it's a close game against Nebraska, a lot closer than anyone might think. Wisconsin, that's a dub. That's 4-1. USC, that's a coin flip. I think USC could beat us. That's 4-2. Washington dub. That's 5-2, 6-2 against Michigan State, but again in a close one. 7-2, 8-2, 9-3 potentially. 9-3 is a realistic possibility there, um, with potential losses coming from Oklahoma, any three of Oklahoma, Nebraska, USC, and Ohio State.
Yeah, because they all need that as much as you do,
Yeah,
because they're going to be there with 7, 8 wins as well, and that will define their season. And
yeah,
that's the challenge. They mean as much, those games to them, as it does to you.
yeah. And I think it's one thing to be in games that are different, but again, a lot of those games I think got to be close ones. So it's not like you're not like the soft boys over at the SEC. I know we're not talking about them at the moment, who need to play an FCS team late on in the season because that season's really hard. Um, but I had to do that. I'm sorry, but
it's all
we're
right. We're
not.
not we're not we're not seen as an SEC team yet, are we?
No, not really. But like, because their season's really, really hard, and we can't do it, and it's really, really tough. So they need a cupcake game where they can put in the third stringers for a week halfway through the season. If you're playing week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, week 9, and every game you're not 3 scores ahead going into the final quarter. You're not in that position where you can throw an arch man in at the end and or whoever in at the end and just hope that kind of okay, let's just not collapse here, but we'll go in and give the young guys some experience. You're playing everyone to the end,
Yeah.
and
Like you
that
say,
really weighs on you at the end of the season.
there's also potential for some of these games to go to overtime as well, which obviously adds additional pressures, more time on the pitch, and that. So it's not just as simple as, you know, going in, winning a game, and coming out. It's every game's going to be a fight, and that's,
Yeah.
as a
Yeah,
neutral, that's great because we want to see good football. We want to see teams battling it out. But as someone who's going to be in that battle, it's not going to be fun. No.
no, it never is, and we know this from watching our own teams, whether it's in the NFL, whether it's in college football, whether it's whatever. Yeah, you don't tend to appreciate the good football when your team's in it because you see good football and then you see like good offense against your defense. You just see bad defense.
Mm.
You see the tackle that's missed where someone else sees the juke that's done. Um and this obviously this isn't special to Michigan. This is every team this year, or this is a lot of schedules this year. But I think one thing that people need to make sure that they know as well is just like we see it in the NFL. It's a lot more difficult. Winning is great no matter what, and it gives you the boost and it gives you the help and everything that it gives you. But if you're playing to the final drive every single week, it takes its toll on your body because you're playing a full flat out 60 minutes. it just takes its toll. And it makes everything that little bit more difficult. And again, the only other thing I'll say, I get just to not beat at the horse here or whatever it is, Bryce Underwood's a freshman, a true freshman. If he starts, which I think he gives you the best opportunity, gives us the best opportunity to win. What if he does come in and, with all due respect to him, because he looks fantastic, what if he does shit the bed a little bit? What if he does? What
But
if
I
he
think
doesn't quite acclimate to college football a bit better, and you go up against a Matt Rule who's been an NFL head coach who knows defense and knows what he
I
can.
think the one thing I would say is he has probably more of a free pass this season at Michigan than probably any, other quarterbacks
Yeah,
going in. Like if Bryce Underwood was going into somewhere like Ohio State and being told he was going to start, the pressure would be insurmountable because it'd just be constantly he has to win every single game. He has to be performing at the highest level. Whereas I think at Michigan, where you're essentially rebuilding from, it's still rebuild after the Harvard seasons and that he has almost there's no expectation that Michigan are going to be challenging the other three teams. If they do, great, and if Bryce Underwood performs at that level, great. If he doesn't, well, he's a freshman and he's learning the trade. So I think
yeah.
he has almost got that free pass this year to build his, I suppose, his college legacy in a way.
And
Um,
how that fits in with Sharon Moore's identity and all the things that he wants to do with Pat. I get that completely. And I would generally agree as well. Like I say, he's got the added thing of he's a freshman. He's got the added thing of all those but also I think just as far as fans go, I think some of what he gets is like, look, we went 7-5 last year. Just be better than 7-5. Be better than 7-5. You've got to, like, in the NFL we talk about all the time. Like, just be better. Your second year just needs to be better than your first. Build off it and move it. Keep going. Keep building off it. But at the same time, you've got, like, with Bryce Underwood, especially now, he's just like just be better than what we had last year.
yeah,
Just play. None of this. I sense pressure, so someone's got to be down there somewhere. Um, just
it's
just
it's it's those sort of games where, like, where you lost to Illinois
yeah,
and it was just a very shit game. It's cutting those things out and just making sure that if
yeah,
you are going up against teams, like the teams obviously we've talked about, and even someone like Oklahoma, as long as you're not getting completely blown out
yeah,
and you're in the games, even if you lose them, it's a much better position to be in than if you get, like obviously mentioned with Texas last year, where you started off okay and then it all just fell to shit. And you don't want moments like that in a season because that's where it can go wrong. Um,
yeah.
so I think as long as you can keep you're not gonna win every single game. Not many teams do it, and when they do, it's usually you know teams that are as fantastic as Oregon were last year. It just doesn't happen that often. So
Yeah,
I think if you know that you're going to accept a couple of losses, maybe three, you know, that's probably where you rightly should be at the moment. But, you know, it'll just be, like I say, it'll just probably be disappointing if you start then creeping up four,
yeah,
five, six losses.
yeah.
And that's when you start thinking, well, actually, was it really sensible starting Bryce Underwood in that first season? But I, I,
Um,
I agree with you. I think he's going to be good. I just think to me, he's going to be a bit like how Dylan Raiola was at Nebraska. He's going to have a solid season, but it's not going to be fireworks.
yeah,
It's expectation management all round, isn't it? Um, from inside the organization for us and for him, really.
absolutely. Look, I'm conscious of time at the end of the day. We're not as fortunate as many of the podcasts I listen to in the States, where we all get to sit here for 24 hours a day, Googling and researching and whatnot. We have our own day jobs, and then we have to record at silly o'clock at night because this isn't our job to do so yet. If you are listening still, one, God bless you. And two, you clearly like this. So if you want to make it our full-time job, um, send me a DM on Twitter or something. I'll let you know how you can help us make it a full-time job, and where you can slip me some money. But with that in mind, I think it's about time that we start looking to wrap up because of the time and because of all that. So if you are still listening, thank you so very, very much. Before we go and before I do the wrap up stuff, I want it to be officially said, as we told Joe last week, just because you're a guest, and I think I'm using air quotation marks around you being a guest at this point. As I
I'm gonna
said,
have it, isn't it?
as the gift said on Twitter, one of us, one of us.
Like a bad penny now. He's can't
Yeah.
get rid of it. He keeps coming back.
We have to. This doesn't mean that we are not going to hold you accountable to the pick that you make. You will be held accountable to it throughout the season. But I'm going to go around the room. We need to officially put down on paper or a Google Doc that I'm going to type out who you are choosing to win the Big Ten this year. And we will start with our truly esteemed guest, Adam.
Yep. So no backsies, I understand. Penn State. Penn State to top the table, to win the championship game and give a good count of themselves in the playoffs.
No worries. Sam.
Yeah, I'm going Penn State. I just think they have too much going in the right direction, and obviously we talk about like things like Ohio last year. I just think they're going to be like that. They're just going to have enough experience to get them over the line against especially some of the big games.
Yes. Gary.
I want to almost say, just to be different.
He likes to be different, so he
like
wants
to be
to go
different and
somewhere
stuff. And I want to go just being different sake. I want to say somebody else, but I can't look past the Lions. I can't. They just look like it's set up for them, as we say. You know, they've brought them all back. They're all in for this year. It's the Penn State.
You're also not allowed to pick Ohio because then Fletcher will never invite you back again.
There is that. There is
No,
that
no,
point as well.
there's-
I would have probably favoured the Ducks over Ohio State if I was going to go anywhere else. But
The Ducks can
I
make the
can't.
championship game.
Yeah, I think so.
To make the championship
I think
game.
the Ducks will be second and will probably make the playoffs as well. But that's
as much
a
as
secondary issue that we didn't talk about yet.
as much as I would love to wield dictatorial powers, just if you said Ohio State, I'd be upset. I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't kick you off. I couldn't do that to you, Gary.
Suspend, but not kick me off.
Yeah.
Put me in the doghouse for a couple of weeks.
Suspension.
I would
for the AC.
Yeah, the one you want to talk about.
No. Gary would approach me in Dublin like, Fletcher, you wearing a pack? I don't know who you are, mate.
I don't know who you are. Get out.
Not a clue. Yes, we're wearing the same t-shirt, but I still don't have a clue who you are. But right, I'm not going to push the boat out here very, very far. Give me Penn State. Every reason that's been given, they have, in my opinion, the best. They're returning the most and the most important production, I think, out of the top teams. James Franklin is a fantastic head coach who, in my opinion, definitely deserves to have this success. Whether they go on and push for the Natty, I don't know. But given some of that difficult schedule, if they can get over some of that difficult schedule, I'm happy to ride with them for the Natty. Nick has, though he could not be with us tonight, he has sent through his prediction for the Big Ten. He said Oregon. Nick is riding with Oregon. And Egg, if you've checked our social media, by the way, you'll notice that Egg is sticking around with us and supporting us all year. He'll be making some content for the socials that centers around the G5 and the FCS because, look, we can cover only so much football on this podcast, and we kind of need to, just for obvious reasons, leave a lot of it to the Power Four. So Egg will be doing that for us, and we're really, really grateful. So we've also included Egg in the social media stuff. So I will add in the fact as well now that like last week we didn't announce his picks. Everyone else got to. For the American Conference, he's gone with Memphis. For Conference USA, he's gone with Liberty. For the Sun Belt, James Madison.
Yep.
For the MAC, he says, fuck UMass, Ohio. For the FCS, because nobody asked for this one. This is his wording, by the way.
This
FCS,
is egg.
Nobody
This is
asked for
egg.
this.
Egg all over this one.
Montana.
Nice.
And his Big Ten prediction is the Ottawa. Again, I'm giving the exact verbatim what I've been sent. Ottawa Red Blacks. It's not going to be Michigan, so that's my answer. Crying, laughing face, throw up face. So yeah, that's it. Those are Egg's predictions. I have texted him back and said, mate, I actually need a Big Ten because there's got to be a space on a graphic with an Ottawa Red Blacks on it, and it's going to look really, really weird.
Can't put all that in there.
Going to have to explain this to people. So without further ado, it's time to go. Adam, give us one last shout of where we can find you and where.
Yep, the blog name collegefootballukview.com, on X CFBUK View. I'm going to be focusing a lot more on football stuff, not governance stuff. Done the first draft of my early draft bus, so 15 players that are going to be joining. I'm going to be joining on the draft bus. So those I'm keeping an eye out for next year. So I'll put that up on the blog hopefully this weekend. Just plenty more coming on X. Like to just chuck some opinions about every now and again in long form, which pisses a lot of people off when you got to click the show more button. You see words and words and words for me, so apologies. We
love a wall of text.
Indeed. I'll chuck a picture in every now and again just to try and break it up.
To break it up.
Just post at the top. There's the TLDR version. That's what I want. To be honest, I'm too lazy to read it all. It's not because I don't care. It's just, I'm not interested. I'm just too lazy. Now, obviously, again, as I said, all those links will be in the description of the episode. Where to follow Adam, where to the link to his website. We will, of course, share that article as well on the socials once it's out there. So please do let us know when it goes up. We would encourage you to go over to the website first and encourage you to go check out those other articles first and follow Adam first rather than just waiting for us to post it. So please go and do that. And again, as I said in the description of this episode, you will find the link to our Discord where you can come and talk pre-season football, fall training camp, and all sorts with us as we gear up to football season. You can come and join us. Subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on the socials, whether it's CFB UK or the AAW Network. And to end with it, I'm going to share a little thing that it says on my phone right now as I've gone into the Aer Lingus app. Sorry, I'll actually set this up properly. Next week, we're talking all things ACC. So Gary, please, for the love of God, just do not the one episode we need you to not miss. Please don't miss this one. In fact, we're going to be talking about like who's going to win it. So to be fair, we won't be talking much Florida State, so don't worry about it.
You don't need me then.
So no, we do need you. We need you every week. Please be available next week, and it just does help that it's ACC too. The week after that, we are covering the SEC. We have someone who actually watches college football and supports an SEC team.
Not just watches his own team,
and he doesn't
not
just
Texas.
watch Texas. So to complement Sam, we've got someone who actually watches college football. Familiar faces it should be to all of you, and that's Chapman from Hurdle the Line. And then the week after, can you remember what we're doing the week after, lads?
I'm doing nothing.
No, you're not. You're coming on the podcast.
Coming on the podcast where we're doing it. Is that not the week
talking about? Can you remember what we're talking about that week? Because there's an event happening within a couple of days of it.
I know podcast because it's just going to be depressing for me.
He's just going to be miserable about it.
I'm sorry. Who's going to a London game this year? Not me.
But you're going to Dublin.
Yeah, I am. I get to go on an airplane. We will be talking in that week. We'll be previewing a game an actual football game, an actual proper preview, because it'll be the week of the game. We'll be 3 days away from the Aer Lingus Classic in Dublin, and I will just share. I'm going to put this up on my screen now, if it'll let me. There we go. Nope, it's just going to blur it out. 22 days before your trip to Dublin. That's my Aer Lingus app telling me when my flights are.
Armageddon.
Not. Wait, we are so close. I told you, football's back. We are so close. 3 weeks away. As of tonight, the day of release, there is an NFL game. Pre-season's turning up for the NFL. Fall camp is here. Football is back. And that is where we're going to leave it today. How exciting. And we will see you next week to preview the ACC.